Mr. Chairman. Ms. Kenna, let me return to you. I'd like to recap the commitment you made earlier to make sure we're clear for the record. I appreciate that you're willing to appear for an interview, but I want to clear a few things up. I understand that State offered a date of August 7th, which you referred to the House, and they rejected the terms because they're tied to your appearance, to Undersecretary Bulatow's appearance before the committee, and because they tried to exclude staff from the interview. So once again, to be clear, do you commit to appear for an interview with the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, the House Foreign Affairs, the House Oversight, as requested with staff on political retaliation and the firing of the IG Linux, period?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. And regardless of what Undersecretary Bulatow does or doesn't do, right?
Yes, I am going to have to defer a little bit to my my State Department colleagues to work out the modalities. I think the reason why they proposed that Undersecretary Bullatow go first was because I had absolutely no knowledge of the Inspector General's firing, no role in it whatsoever, had no discussions with anyone about his firing. So, and Undersecretary Bullatow was the primary point of contact on that matter.
Regardless of what may be a reason,
Right.
it seems to me that a request for Congress in oversight cannot be conditioned in a way that undermines the very essence of the request. So I understand, you know, when you say you'll have to defer to, I don't want to hear at the end of the day that the commitment you are making to appear then can be quashed by some actions of the department. You're committed to appear, period.
I am committed to appear. I want to cooperate.
I appreciate that, and I look forward to that. Now, while you are here, let me ask you one question. You just alluded to it, but you were aware that the State Department Inspector General had requested records into the potential misuse of resources by Secretary Pompeo, were you not?
The Inspector General has requested to interview me in conjunction with an investigation into the misuse of resources. That is correct.
Okay. And did you discuss that request with the Secretary?
I did not.
Did you discuss it with Undersecretary Bulatow?
No, I did not. Are you referring to in advance of the firing of the Inspector General, Senator?
Yeah. Did you discuss the request that the IG made of you to interview you with either the Secretary or Undersecretary Bulatow prior to his firing?
No, Senator. The Inspector General came to me and requested an interview after the Inspector General was fired.
I see.
That request came after. I have advised the Inspector General that I'm very happy to be interviewed, and we have a date for that interview.
To your knowledge, was the Secretary aware of the existence of the investigation?
To my knowledge, he was not, but certainly not through me, because I was not aware of that investigation.
Was he aware that the IG's office had requested documents?
No, I don't, not to my knowledge, certainly not from me.
As you know, the appropriate use of resources has been a topic of scrutiny at the State Department. Were you ever instructed to engage in any use of resources you did not think appropriate?
Senator, I try to run the Executive Secretariat with utmost integrity. When I have questions about the appropriate use of resources, we have a system in place where I refer to our experts, and we have a number of offices that are responsible for that. They give us guidance, and it is my commitment to follow that guidance each and every time.
Yeah, so let me repeat my question. I appreciate your answer. Were you ever instructed to engage in the use of any resources you did not think was appropriate?
Senator, I have not. Are you asking if I have knowingly misused resources? Is that your question?
No. Were you ever instructed, meaning you were told by a superior,
right,
to use resources that you did not think was appropriate?
No, Senator. I was not instructed to misuse resources.
Have you ever personally witnessed any such inappropriate use of resources?
Senator, what I have witnessed is that the use of resources is generally consistent with what I've seen in terms of the support we've provided to every Secretary of State since I've been in this office. But as I said, when I have had questions, I have asked for guidance, and I follow that
So
guidance.
evidently there were times that you did have questions.
Yes.
Uh-huh. So let me ask you one final thing before I just move to Ms. Levy. As you know, there have been concerning reports under this administration of attacking and retaliating against career public servants at the State Department. Some have been reassigned based upon assumptions about their political affiliation or national origin. Others have been labeled disloyal or called radical unelected bureaucrats by senior administration officials. And I can't think of anything that's more cancerous for the department or career employees across the government. Are you familiar with some of these allegations?
Senator, yes, thank you for the question. I'm familiar with the investigation into those reports and the Office of the Inspector General's report.
And in your time in the Secretary's office, did you ever hear any career employee referred to as, quote, Obama holdovers, or a reference that they could not be trusted because they had worked for the Obama administration?
No, Senator, no one has said that to me in the Secretary's office.
All right. Let me turn to Ms. Levy, if I may, Mr. Chairman. You have a colorful history of public remarks prior to your nomination. In 2010, in an interview, you publicly stated, quote, I feel very strongly that Harry Reid and the Democratic Party are destroying our country and destroying our way of life. My family escaped the communist revolution in Cuba and through hard work made a great life for ourselves in this country. Harry Reid is trying to deny that opportunity to others, close quote. Now, as you may know, Senator Reid is a close personal friend of mine. And as you might imagine, I have strong opinions about using the communist revolution in Cuba as a backdrop to attack Democrats and Senator Reid. So I want to ask you, do you honestly believe the Democratic Party is trying to destroy the United States or your way of life?
Thank you for that question and for the opportunity to clarify my remarks, Senator Menendez. In 2010, I was a private citizen. I was not speaking in any official capacity. It was in the course of political elbow throwing, and what I said then, I do not believe today. I think, it was in the heat of the moment, and no personal offense was meant. It was simply policy disagreements.
Well, there's a difference between a policy disagreement and suggesting that someone's actions or views at the Democratic Party are destroying our country and destroying our way of life. When and if you are confirmed as an ambassador, you ultimately represent the nation as a whole. That does not mean you represent only the Republican Party when you are at that country post. It doesn't mean you only respond to Republican members of Congress in their request for what's going on in your country. It doesn't mean that you only treat those members of your staff who might very well be Democrats differently than you would treat those who are Republicans. I mean, to characterize it as, well, I was a private citizen, but it's the beliefs that you held. I am sure you wouldn't have made such a statement if you didn't hold those beliefs. I mean, our ambassadors are supposed to serve as representatives of all Americans. Is this the type of comment of diplomatic speech we would expect of you if you're confirmed?
Sir, if I'm confirmed as U.S. Ambassador to Chile, you will find in me a very like-minded partner. I will be a representative for all of the American people. Politics is one thing, and at least in the campaigns and in the political arena when I've been involved, there are times that elbows are thrown, but once the election is over, we unite for the good of our community, for the good of our state, and the good of our country.
Yeah.
And that's what's very important, and that's what's needed today. I have always been a consensus builder and a bridge builder in my community. In the efforts I've led, I have run projects and large committees
Let's talk
with
about
people
that.
of all backgrounds and all...
Let's talk about that
beliefs.
consensus builder, because I'm familiar with throwing elbows. Sometimes you throw an elbow and you fracture a rib, though. In 2016, you posted on Twitter a piece of literally fake news, claiming that Michelle Obama's mother was receiving a $160,000 a year pension from the federal government. Is that the type of social media that we can expect on you?
No, sir. I retweeted something that turned out to be fake news, and as soon as I learned it was fake news, I immediately I apologized for it.
Did you apologize in the same way that you posted it?
Yes, on Twitter. I apologized for it, and I fell for fake news, and I was not very experienced.
As an ambassador, we cannot afford for you to fall for fake news.
I agree, and I realize what a powerful tool Twitter and other forms of social media are. And my intention, if I am confirmed as ambassador, is to work very closely with my public affairs team on posting positive and constructive things on Twitter and other social media platforms.
All right.
I learned my lesson with that particular tweet, and if you go through other things, you won't find that sort of thing.
Okay, let me ask you about this one. In 2016, you published an op-ed in which you stated that people are, quote, seriously troubled by the prospect of Donald Trump winning the Republican nomination, close quote. You added, quote, he is vulgar, ill-mannered, disparages those whom he cannot intimidate. His modus operandi is to try to intimidate people, then call them names and calumniate about them, and then, if those tactics do not work, to sue them, close quote. Now, how do you reconcile that with your accepting a post nominated by the person who you so described?
Senator Menendez, first of all, I honor and I thank you for your service to this country, and my desire is to serve the United States of America and the American people. I believe that the United States and the people of America deserve competent, strong, positive leadership, and that is what I tend to provide. And again, that was in the course of a political campaign when I was supporting a different candidate. Elbows were thrown. The election was, when the election was over, we came together for the good of the American people. Well, and I pledge to you that if I am confirmed, that is how I will conduct myself. I will be representing all of the people of the United States of America, every political persuasion, every idea, every thought, and it will be my honor to do that. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you for your answer. I hope what is passed is not prologue in this case, and we will be in the midst of another election as, if you are confirmed, being in post. So I would not expect that as the United States ambassador to Chile, that you would be engaged in the politics of our country as you're representing us abroad. I have substantive questions for our two nominees to Canada and Guatemala, but Mr. Chairman, you've been generous with your time. I'll submit them for the question. I am looking forward to substantive answers to my questions, and I thank you, Mr. Chairman.